Uh, all right, guys, welcome to the show. The discussion is about the potency of Christianity in people's minds, the belief and how potent it is, and in comparison to juju and black magic. I actually don't like the fact that people actually call it black magic because of the connotation of evil that actually comes along with the word black. But I like calling it juju. So welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here as usual.
Pleasure to do this again.
All right, all right, all right, all right. What do you guys think? I want agnostic to actually go first. What do you think about potential? What do you think is more potent? And why do you think it's really potent? What is more potent? Because this should be a blueprint for our focus as a society, as a secular society. What we need to actually focus on, if something's actually more potent and something's actually less potent, we should actually focus on. I think, in my opinion, we should actually focus on what is more potent, like actually get that so that the smaller one can actually sleep with you. So what do you think, agnostic? What is more potent in people's mind?
To be honest, I think they're very, very similar things to each other. People want to ascribe agency to things they don't understand and things they can't necessarily explain. So when something happens that doesn't have an apparent explanation, your instinct is to, oh, it must have been God that did it, or it must have been somebody sort of put a curse on you. That's why you keep having bad luck, because somebody's cursed you, when in the end it's really just coincidence. It's nothing more significant than coincidence. But yeah, it's because of people's tendency to want to ascribe agency to something that if they can't explain it, then they just make up a magical explanation, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, you're right about that. But what do you think the force ascribe it to? What do you think? Is it like I'm talking about an African society, like an African society right now, like in our society, like what do you
Oh, as
think?
Africans, we
Yeah,
are we
yeah.
are particularly superstitious, and I don't know why that is specifically, but we are. So for some reason, right? Even you will find that whatever an African believes in, they usually will believe in some sort of supernatural agency, right? And it's yeah. I'm not. I don't know exactly why that is. I don't know if it's cultural. I don't know if it's, well, I'm not going to say genetic, because I mean, what does that mean? But there is, for some reason, Africans are particularly superstitious. I mean, what do you guys think about? I mean, do you find that as well?
Yeah, what about
Yeah,
you, Paulo? Yeah.
I find it quite common. If you'd ask me, I think the reason is, can you guys hear me? Sorry.
Yeah, sure, we can
Oh
hear
yeah,
you. Yeah,
you're
yeah.
coming.
All right, fantastic. If you ask me, I think the reason is enlightenment.
Mm-hmm.
I think it starts with education. If you look at the history of the development of Western societies and African societies, it wasn't too long ago since we, would I say, entered the enlightenment age. Most of Africa is still in the dark. Most of Africa isn't even connected to the world. In fact, if not
I
for,
mean, sorry to interrupt, right? But then,
yeah,
if we think about something like Timbuktu, right? We had education here before I mean, the Europeans were traveling to Timbuktu to learn in universities in Mali. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, so what enlightenment are we talking about specifically? We
yeah,
seem to have
yeah. But
some.
when you say education, when you say education, education does not, education is basically literacy,
Yeah.
knowing how to read and write. But enlightenment is beyond just being literate. Enlightenment encompasses having a, how do I say this, a more reasonable mindset on
It,
how
it,
to tackle the problems of the world, right? Problems that we face in our society. So even though people were literate in Egypt and Timbuktu and Mecca, that doesn't mean they were enlightened. I mean, look at Nigeria, for example. I think it's Ondo State, or no, Ekiti. Ekiti State has the most professors in the entire Nigeria, but how many redeemed churches, how many salvation ministries, winner chapels, how many shrines, and so on and so forth will you find in Ekiti State? Yes, Africans are educated, And yes, we've had education for much longer than many people would like to give us credit for. I get that. But education in itself is just literacy, knowing how to read and write. Can we say we're really enlightened?
Wow, that is deep.
I
What
take
do,
it.
what
I
do you
take
say
it.
to that? What do you say to that, agnostic?
Oh, it's a good point. I mean, being educated doesn't necessarily. I mean, you can be educated and superstitious. You can,
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
and enlightenment is more than just being educated. It's about, enlightenment values anyway.
yeah.
It's a lot more than just yeah. It's a very good point you've made.
Hmm.
Yeah. So if you'd ask me the reason behind it, I'd say we've not really, like agnostic pointed out, we've had education. Luckily some parts of Africa have had education. Egypt, Mecca, Timbuktu. But have we really been as enlightened in the sense of being able to create reasonable answers rather than cultural or superstitious answers to everything?
I think
If
I'm
Yeah,
sort
go
of
ahead.
I'm sort of coming. I think
No, go ahead.
something agnostic actually mentioned the other time about because the Greek actually came to Egypt also, and the Europeans came to Timbuktu in Mali to actually learn some things also, but I think
Yeah.
it is just on their part. I think Africa never sailed for knowledge. Africans are not sure about this. They sailed for trade, they sailed for power, but I think
Mm.
Africans never sailed for knowledge for the sake of actually knowing stuff.
You know
Because
what
they
I think? I think religion is the reason why we so stagnated, right? I think
yeah.
No
if you look at
doubts. There's no
The Middle
argument
East as well,
there.
I mean, if you look at the word algebra, the word algorithm, right? We use Arabic numerals. The Middle East used to be the center of science and technology,
Yeah,
and then
Baghdad.
Mm.
Baghdad before the
religion
Mongols. Yeah.
stunted them. Absolutely, the religion stunted them as well, right? Because when you have religious solutions, then you don't need to find the answer. Oh well, God did it, so why
Yeah.
do I need to keep digging? You know what I mean? Why do I need to know
Yeah.
what a star is? God is it's just a light that go up in the sky. That's what the book says. You see
Yeah.
what I mean? I think we had the Islamic invasion from the north, and then we had the Christian evangelists coming from the south, and religion
Yeah.
just sort of robbed us of any sort of curiosity towards science and that kind. I mean, what do you reckon?
But
Yeah.
is it Christianity in particular? Because before Christianity actually came to Africa, there were a lot of African sailors, there were a lot of African sailors sailing the world, because I know some Africans actually landed in America before Columbus actually landed there, but they were already sailing. They could actually travel. Yeah, nah, they could actually travel the world.
So if we had more power, we could say Africans discovered America.
Yeah, no, yeah, no, yeah. Of course, no. I think some Vikings actually were actually there before the Africans, but that is not the focus of
Yeah,
the topic.
but because it upsets me when I hear things when people say Christopher Columbus discovered Africa or discovered some, because how
yes,
can you discover a place that people are already living in?
it is just
It
people.
doesn't make any
Yeah,
sense.
yeah. It is just people usurping in their history. Tell it
Uh,
from
It's
their from the
basically
point of view.
it's the perspective of the people that
Yeah,
wrote history.
yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah,
from
yeah,
their
yeah,
perspective,
yeah.
there
They
was
write it
no
from their own
continent.
perspective.
Absolutely, from
yeah,
their perspective, there was no continent to the west of the Atlantic Ocean,
Y-
right?
yeah,
So all of a sudden, absolutely, you can't discover something when there's already somebody there, right? You
Yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean?
that's
But
true.
from their context, from their perspective, there was nothing there, and all of a sudden,
yeah.
there's all this great big landmass. I mean, when they first quote unquote discovered that there was he landed on a small little island, right? Had no idea just how vast the continent was, all the way north, all the way south, right?
Yeah.
So from a European perspective, that was when it was discovered. But yeah, absolutely, it was already there, and you can't discover something that somebody
Yeah, yeah.
discovered.
When the Native
You know what I
Americans
mean?
were already living there. Yeah.
It reminds me of a quote I saw on Twitter. I think someone said history is always written by the victorious.
Yeah,
History is
sure.
always written
Absolutely,
by the
absolutely.
victors. So
Yeah,
it
yeah,
makes
yeah.
sense.
And to actually clarify it, just in case any Twitter Pan-Africanist actually listening to this, when this is actually my own opinion. I just want to actually voice my own opinion on this, because when some people actually do not include some people's history, like Africans landing in America first before the Americans. When they do not include your own history in writing history, it is not actually against you, because because I've seen some like the power of imagery in Christianity. We've all seen Christians draw, or like Europeans naturally draw Jesus Christ like a Caucasian male, and this
Yeah.
actually seems like, this actually seems like something against, like people actually take it personal, like, like they are actually against, or they do not like us or something like that, or the standard of beauty being yellow hair or white skin and light skin,
Or blue
yeah,
eyes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Blue eyes. This is not. Of course, they actually did this thing. The Americans actually made whiteness and lightness be the standard for beauty and all those things. But the thing is, it's actually not like against you. Humans generally actually make things seems like them. When if you watch like musicians also, like Lil Wayne's music, and or Drake, or Snoop Dogg, the most beautiful woman in the movie is in the video is always a black woman. It is just our affinity. It is not actually a personal thing, Yeah, like everyone, that is why God actually looks like human being. Like it looks like like a man, looks human, because we always want the best of everything to actually look like us. It is not personal, because I've seen some anger develop on Twitter. That I actually feel like, in some cases it's actually justified, because when you look at that is why one of the reasons why women bleach in Nigeria, I'm not sure if you guys are actually following, because they think the most beautiful woman, the standard of beauty is actually being white, But Americans didn't do this because they are racist. They didn't make the standard of beauty white because they are racist, or because they do not allow Africans, or they want Africans to actually think lowly of themselves. It is just human affinity. Everyone actually wants the best of everything to be like them. That is why men wrote the Bible. God was a man. You know, that's the basic reason.
Just a quick counter to that, though, right?
Okay.
Is well, first of all, I do agree with you, right? That it's not done maliciously necessarily.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah,
people are just sort of it's from their perspective, so they will portray their perspective, and because
yeah,
they have economic power,
yeah.
right?
Sure.
Because they have economic power, then it's
It gained prominence.
exactly. So
Yeah,
they're able to sell their culture. They're able
yeah.
to project their culture out to the world because of their economic power. In a lot of ways, right? You are starting to see Chinese culture doing the same thing.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
Now, yeah,
It's not quite as pervasive because people don't speak the same languages. Chinese is very difficult to understand. But just in general, you are starting to see the emergence of Chinese dress, for example. But in any case, you will also find, right, that
hello. Paulo, is that me
oh,
or
sorry.
okay,
Okay, so
okay, yeah. Go on.
I was just going to say, right, in terms of other aspects of culture like music,
Mm,
in particular,
mm,
right, you will find that actually it's predominantly Black American culture that is more popular, if you see what I mean. It's which is not to say that rock music isn't popular in and of itself, right? But then, quote unquote, cool music tends to be more Black music. It goes back to the days of jazz. It goes back to
yeah.
and you see what I mean. So it's not just white culture that is put on a pedestal in some ways, right? I mean, if you go to South London, for example, right, almost all the kids there talk like they're Jamaicans. Literally,
Mm.
it's almost becoming an accent in and of itself, right?
And
But
they are
then
white.
yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Look, if you remember Ali G, the whole point
Yeah,
of
I know
Ali
Ali
G,
G. Yeah.
right? The whole point of Ali G was to make fun of white kids that would try and speak like the Jamaicans. That was the whole point of the whole act, right?
Mm.
So yeah, there are some times when Black culture actually does become desirable as well, and we shouldn't just. Well, I mean, we are going a bit off topic because we were talking
Yeah,
about
sure,
Black man,
sure. Yeah,
but
yeah,
this
yeah.
is this. I do find that this is an interesting discussion as well.
Yeah,
Let's go.
yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah. I think we should actually make it a different topic for another time. Like it's actually very,
Yeah,
yeah, it's an interesting topic. All right, all right, all right, all
the
right.
conversation is flowing, then let it flow.
Yeah. All right. Paulo. I don't actually, I don't, like, I
Yep.
don't want anyone out of this conversation like one or actually three things. So
Oh,
I'm
at all. I'm
sorry.
I'm listening and I'm learning. So
I'm sorry, listeners. I'm
nah,
really
it's
sorry,
fine. I'm
listeners.
listening and I'm
Yeah,
learning.
sure. Yeah.
Go
Listeners,
on.
please, listeners, I'm actually very sorry about this, but we're actually very sorry for derailing from the topic, because this was the promise. All right, about the about the potency of superstitions. I want to actually mention something. Before Christianity actually arrived in Africa, because Christianity actually went to China also before it actually came to Africa, and there was this pushback, a serious pushback, and because I don't know if you guys have heard about the Taiping rebellion and some rebellions that actually came just against Islam and Christianity generally in China. There was this pushback because of this ingrained culture in the mind of Africans, in the mind of Chinese, in China. But you didn't see anything like that in Africa. Africans weren't selling for knowledge before the Europeans actually came. It wasn't like something that actually died out. It wasn't like some. I'm not talking about Egypt now, because a lot of things actually came out of Egypt that are actually fascinating. A lot of scientific that actually came out of Egypt, findings that actually came out of it that are actually fascinating. I'm talking about sub-Saharan Africa and down to South Africa generally right now. But you guys know, I want to actually come in on this. We weren't actually selling for knowledge. But I don't think we can actually blame Christianity for this. We weren't selling for knowledge. We weren't actually. Of course, we were trading from one place to another before Christianity. So I don't think we can actually blame Christianity for the potency of these superstitions in our mind, because it was already present. What do you guys think?
Well, I can't say I know quite well what the Africans of those days had in mind when they were
Mm.
going up and down, but
Okay.
what I can say for certain about the Africans that were left at home is
Hmm.
this. The reason I'd feel okay before I'd say why I think which is more potent, I'd say let me just speak briefly about African traditional religion.
Hmm.
Like agnostics said, man tries to invent agency when he doesn't know the reason why something happened, right?
Hmm.
Now, before we were a little more enlightened to understand why rain fell, why rainbows appeared, why this happened and why that happened, it was much easier for man to ascribe actions to the imaginary gods he believed in or he feared. So moving from that, we have lots of people, lots of cultures, lots of entire tribes that their ancestors, their elders, they were raised on a culture of superstition.
Hmm.
Now, one of the reasons why superstition is prevalent, or rather the fear or belief in juju is prevalent in Africa, rather let me say Western Africa, Nigeria, Cameroon, etc.,
Hmm.
is culture.
Hmm.
Before people came to tell us that their God is better than ours, we were also worshiping something, right?
Yeah, sure.
We are worshiping something that, for example, there's this mosquito I've read about that if it bites you, it makes your legs swell or makes that body part swell, and
Mm.
it's like
Yeah.
elephantiasis.
Oh,
Back
yeah, yeah,
then,
yeah.
if that kind of thing happened to you, you would think that maybe you went and you've stolen somebody's land. It was just superstition. So we have entire tribes, entire cultures that were raised on this. Another thing is rumors. Growing up, your the African really the African or the Nigerian culture or mentality is that your elders know better than you,
Yeah, sure.
and we are raised to accept whatever our elders tell us, irrespective of whether we think it's true or not. So even though we don't readily agree with something, once it is being told to us by people in authority, we take it as law. Growing up, we heard about Ujuju Calabar, we
Hmm.
heard about different stories, and even though we knew nothing about them, because of the people that told us, our parents, our teachers, our this and that, we took them as law. So as the people who believed in those times, in those things, passed on the information to us, we accepted it without questioning it. I mean, as a 2-year-old child, if your grandfather tells you that if you come out at night, the forest god will come and kidnap you, nothing will make you come outside now. Do you
Yeah,
want to be
sure.
kidnapped?
Yeah.
As a 2-year-old child, your brain is not developed enough to think for yourself. And the fact that it is your grandfather telling you or your father, someone who you hold in high authority, you will automatically believe it to be true. And when you believe this thing and you tell your younger brother, he tells his younger sister, and the thing pass, there's this saying that if you repeat a lie so many times, it becomes the truth.
Yeah, sure.
So we have repeated and repeated and repeated these things to ourselves over centuries, over from families to families, from tribe to tribe, and it has stuck.
Mm.
Now, you will find that even Christians who now no longer believe in these things, they still have fear. They still have healthy fear of juju,
Yeah,
not
sure.
because they've seen it for themselves,
Yeah, no,
but because it has been ingrained in them from a young age.
even I, because this
Yeah, go
project,
ahead.
yeah, even I, because this project that this documentary that we're actually planning for, this podcast, it's actually, because when I see people actually talk about it with so much confidence, no single doubt in their mind, it actually scares me. It's not like because I believe
Wow.
in it. It's not. I have no belief in it. Because I have no single belief in it. But it actually, like, I think it actually reincarnates that fear. That fear in me that was actually put in me since I was a child. To actually fear stuff like this.
Yeah,
I think
the
that's,
level of confidence with which they speak about it.
yeah, and I know this is actually totally unreasonable, that an agad woman, a woman who actually live at the mercies of forces behind her nature, is actually bending nature to her will, like there are some witches out there or something like that, I don't.
I
Yeah.
mean, we all grew up with stories of black magic and juju and so on, right? But
Yeah.
can anybody? I mean, that's the thing. Can anybody genuinely say that you've heard anything more than stories of, oh, this person said that they saw, or what I mean, it's either second or third hand. It's have you ever seen anything that you can consider to be black magic firsthand? That
Yeah,
you can say that you
I have
witnessed it
seen
yourself?
I've seen people that actually, like, credible people that I'm actually very sure they are not lying.
There you go.
Yeah, yeah,
That's one step removed.
that
Have
will
you
tell
seen
you they
it?
are using it. Like, I have this guy. I have this. I have this guy. He's influential, and I wanted to actually play the recording
What are
of
they
his.
using it for?
Is I don't know. I think bullet or stuff like that, But I actually don't believe in stuff like
I'm
that.
sure. I'm sure he believes it, right? So
He believes it. Yeah, he
when
believes
he's
it.
saying it, he's probably. I'll put it this way: he's not lying when he says he's using it because he believes it's true,
Yeah,
right? But that doesn't make it true.
yeah,
Yeah.
sure,
You see what I mean, right?
No,
So
Exactly.
on the day when I can actually stand there myself, not somebody videoed and showed me a video on Twitter or something, right? When I
yeah.
can actually see myself that he stands there and gets shot in the chest and the bullet bounces off him, when I see that, then I'll believe it. Until then, I withhold belief. This is genuinely my opinion is
Yeah, of course, now.
when there is something that cannot be explained in that sense, right? I'm not going to necessarily say it's not possible. I mean, maybe there is black magic, and at some point I might regret ever sort of coming out against it, right? Somebody's cursing me right now, for all we know, yeah.
Yeah,
But until such a point where I see firsthand, or where I see where I receive some sort of credible information that gives me confirmation that
yeah.
supernatural exists, I don't
Yeah.
believe in anything supernatural, literally nothing.
Yeah, sure. Until then, and that is what the upcoming listeners, that is what the upcoming project is actually about, And you guys should please subscribe to the channel. I think it is actually about. I think this is the foundation of every belief, because I've seen atheists, supposedly atheists actually say that they witnessed these things and they've seen it and they actually believe this actually happens, because
Then
yeah,
drill down, right, and say, what did you actually see?
yeah,
It's not as
now.
spectacular as they think it is.
Yeah, no, I can actually argue it out, like using state epistemology. I can actually argue it out on Twitter and my inbox, on Twitter, I've gotten countless DMs, telling me they've actually felt these things, that they've actually experienced it, and in fact, I got about four in the last about 2 days ago, so four messages telling me that I'm actually wasting my time and I'm gonna die doing all this podcasting and actually investigating all these things, that these things actually real, And I have no doubt, I can actually get scared of these things because of some great fear in me, but I'm not actually getting scared of, and we're actually going to find out if this is actually true, because I think this is actually the foundation. If atheists who do not believe in a Christian God or any kind of God can actually say that these things actually exist, I think this is actually the pillar of everything, And I want to actually ask you guys a small question, Is there any other culture that is actually reincarnating or are actually expressing this, like at the level at which we are actually seeing it in Nigeria, this superstition, and actually telling you that it is actually the right way to do, the right way. Like you see Nollywood actually doing the same thing that is actually not panning out well for Nigeria, like reincarnating and actually this reincarnating this supposedly superstition as actually true. Is there any culture doing that around the world, or it is just Africa?
Well, I would think that the Vikings, the early settlers in Scandinavia, they used to practice some sort of magic. I can't remember what it's
Yeah,
called.
sure. I'm talking about this
And
present
then
day. I'm talking about this present day. Like,
okay,
is there anyone
Okay.
still making
Every
movies
culture-
about superstition being true? Is there any
Every
like,
culture has their superstitions.
yeah,
right?
yeah.
I believe. I mean, if you go to somewhere like if you go to somewhere like South America, something like the Day of the Dead festival, right?
Yeah, sure.
It's still quite the big thing over there, right?
yeah,
Although I do understand that. I think I understand the point you're trying to make in that popular culture and movies, well, not quite music, but movies certainly, right? There is almost, I don't watch many Nigerian movies, I'll confess, right? But there's almost no Nigerian movie you see, right, where there isn't some sort of trip to a witch doctor. You know what I mean?
yeah,
For
Yeah.
some reason, it seems central to every single narrative, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't know if there's any other culture that pushes it to that extent, but every culture does have their aspects of
Yeah. Because it is actually
belief. You
it
see
is
what I
actually
mean?
the fourth position. The fourth position of humanity. I don't think. Of course, we are reasonable. We are a reasonable species. I think it's actually the fourth position to actually ascribe agents, because I watched this documentary by Richard Dawkins. Children who actually knows little about Christianity and all of those things. They were
It's
creationists
exactly
by
how we
default.
convince children to believe in Santa Claus, because at
Yeah.
that age they don't have the faculties and the capacity to question what you tell them. Oh, where did these
yeah,
presents come? Oh, it came from a man that climbed down the chimney. I mean, and somewhere in their mind they probably know you can't climb down the chimney, but then they're looking at they're looking at the
yeah,
parents, and I trust you, right? And you've kept me alive all this time, right? And you
yeah,
tell me you're climbing down the chimney, so okay, fine, I'll believe it, right? In the same way, in exactly the same way that they can tell you that there was a man that rose from the dead, and if you don't believe in him, you're going to hell for the rest. In exactly the same way, you believe both. The only difference being that once you figure out that Santa Claus was not real, then they stop reinforcing it, right? But they keep
yeah,
on reinforcing the religious notions, right? So even
yeah.
those follow you into adulthood because they never stop reinforcing them. It's literal indoctrination.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now that you mentioned it, Daniel, I think you're absolutely right. I would say that for many people who grow up in the cities without any personal experiences with anything, quotes in quotes, supernatural, or anybody teaching them about supernatural deities or anything, most of their fear of the supernatural of juju is gotten from Nigerian movies.
Yeah, sure.
It is an acquired fear, not
Learned fair, yeah, you learn it.
yeah, it's an acquired fear, not something that they have seen
Mm.
or something that they know, or something that they were taught and that Nollywood has consistently reinforced over time. So I think you're absolutely right in that area.
Then
Yeah.
society then reinforces what Nollywood has sort of planted, right? They reinforce the
Yeah,
seed because when you talk to somebody
yeah,
that also believes in juju, right? Then they oh really, okay, yeah, there probably was a curse that somebody put on that person, and they can't, yeah. So it's all building blocks one on top of the other, basically.
Yeah. What do you guys think? Is it what do you think is more potent in someone's mind? Is it the religion they were born into or something, or what they actually fear the most, like people, because in this religion of Juju and Olodumare and stuff like that, a lot of Nigerians, even when they do not believe in Christian God, or they're actually shedding, they still have their doubts. Maybe this one is true, maybe this part is true, and all of those things. What do you think is more potent in their mind? Is it Jesus Christ? Because I think
Okay.
people fear Sokman, no, more than they fear Jesus Christ. What do you
I
guys
was
think?
going to, the one thing is there is no threat of hell in traditional African religions, right?
Yeah.
There is no threat of eternal punishment, right?
Hmm.
So any fear is what can they do to me right now?
Yeah,
Are
sure.
they going to?
yeah,
You see what I mean? Whereas the fear that you get from Christianity is is being caught at a point in your life in between asking for forgiveness, right, and sort of end up being sort of dying at that point and going to hell, basically.
Now, all right, guys, welcome back.
Hold on, can you hear my?
Yeah, I can hear you well. Yeah, sure, I can hear you well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. All right. All right.
Hello, listeners. This is actually a conversation that actually spanned for 2 days, because the first part you just finished hearing is just it was actually yesterday, and we had an interference in recording yesterday, so we had to actually postpone this, postpone it to today, yeah. And for your assistance, you can actually subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's actually a way to actually support the podcast. And you guys, please don't make me go get another job, because I have been having some hard time actually uploading and actually putting standing up with this, or pulling up all this, for you guys to be able to actually listen to this, because actually very expensive to actually upload some stuff on YouTube, the size of and about the Dasha. So subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just make sure to subscribe and support. Like there is something coming up. A Patreon page. I opened up a Patreon page. You can actually support the channel, like for any tier of your choosing. It should be linked in the description on YouTube, so you can support the channel any tier you're choosing. And it comes with a lot of benefits. So you guys, subscribe. Don't make me get another job, because if I actually get another job, I have to concentrate on that. So please support. All right, guys, welcome back. I can't actually seem to forget that Paulo was actually trying to say something yesterday that I actually missed. Do you remember, Paulo?
Oh, okay. I think you asked me which I think is more potent after
Yeah,
agnostic.
yeah,
Give
yeah.
yeah.
Well, if I remember correctly,
Agnostic. Do you remember?
what I said
Yeah.
was, I think people are more scared of Christianity because of the threat of hell, and there is no equivalent threat in black magic, in juju, in sort of traditional religion. So you were about to disagree with me when we had trouble yesterday.
All right, all right, all right.
Oh,
Paulo, go on.
yeah. I think I do. I remember now. I was saying, if I remember correctly, that if you like, I said, I'm actually grateful for a chance to disagree with you,
Yeah,
agnostic.
yeah.
Like, if you asked me which I think is more potent in people's minds right now, I'd say it's juju. The
Mm-hmm.
reason being this: if you'd ask which is more of an existential threat, which people are more scared of in the future, I'd say yeah, you're right, Christianity. But in the moment right now, I think it's juju. Let me explain why. You will not find a juju man that is scared of Christianity, but you will find Christians that are scared of juju,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
So coming from our heritage, our cultural heritage of growing up with tales of superstition and rumors, and growing up in a community that continually reinforces those tales, continually reinforces those stories. In fact, it wasn't too long ago some of our parents and grandparents converted to Christianity from traditional religions.
Yeah.
But while they were in their traditional religions, they had a healthy fear of the juju powers in those religions. So and Christianity, yes, it gives them hope, it gives them comfort, it gives them a sense of security, but it does not stop the fear of do I say of those juju powers. The same way we as younger Christians left Christianity and are now religious, but we sometimes still have a fear of hellfire. Is the same way those people that were brought up with tales of juju and you know stories and rumors and everything continuously reinforced by our society, they still have a healthy fear of juju. So even though they are Christians now, right, even though they believe that they are covered, they are this, they are that, you won't see any Christian enter anybody's shrine to go and cause trouble. You won't see any Christian go to any forbidden forest to go and you know
Yeah,
cause
understand.
trouble.
Yeah,
Everybody
understand.
tries to give each other tries
Mm.
to do
In that respect, right? I think
yeah. They are, I agree with that. Existentially scared of of Christianity, yes. But right now, as of
Yeah, because there's no doctrine in Christianity that is. It tends to deal with more ethereal things. Your
yeah,
day-to-day life isn't as affected by Christianity, whereas
yeah,
with Juju, it tends to be about things that are happening now. You know what I mean? It tends to
Yeah,
be
yeah,
yeah.
about what you want now, what you want next week, where you
yeah.
put a curse on something you want, you know what I mean. So I can.
Hello. Someone is out. I think.
No,
No,
I'm
no,
here.
Okay.
We're all here.
Okay.
Austria.
Okay. Like agnostic, you muting your microphone. You muting your microphone. You know. Like. Hello. Apollo, can you hear me? Yeah, that must be agnostic. His muting is not.
Yeah,
You're muting your microphone. You know. Your microphone is muted. This is not a network. This
I'm
is
using temporary mute. Yes.
okay. Okay.
Can you not hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
I can.
Yeah. You can go on speaking.
Not
agnostic.
when I'm speaking.
Yeah,
Not when I'm speaking. Can you not hear me?
we can all hear you. Yeah.
Yeah.
When he's not
Not when I'm
speaking.
speaking. Yeah. No,
Okay.
I was just responding to what Paulo had to say that
Okay.
clearly Christianity deals with a lot more afterlife and more ethereal things it's more about your eternal soul, whereas Juju is more about the here and now, about what's happening
Yeah,
today.
Yeah. I think you're right about that. You know.
The point you make concerned with people that sort of people who believe in it anyway are more concerned with Juju than they are with Christianity,
yeah,
perhaps. But
yeah,
here's another point though. It's what's interesting is that even after taking Christianity on as their belief, for
yeah,
some reason, people didn't sort of completely drop their belief in the traditional religions, as it were.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
Christianity does tend to do that. When it went to South America, the whole Day of the Dead festival, right? It's sort of incorporated into their version of Catholicism.
yeah,
You don't find that anywhere else in the world. So it's just interesting how Christianity does that. I mean, the whole Christmas, the actual Christmas is a pagan winter festival in Northern Europe,
Yeah.
right?
Sure.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
Christianity just saw they basically start doing that, and because Northern Europe
Co-opted it. Yeah, they co-opted it.
absolutely.
Yeah. This is how they do it. You know, because they can't actually go to a culture and actually tell them that God is false. They just tell them our God is more powerful than you're powerful. If you actually say our God is false and we actually feel like we actually have evidence that our God is real, it will actually prompt the question that what about your God? How do we know your God isn't real? So they say all
Yeah,
of those gods are actually fallen gods or something like that, you know, because I think they did the same thing in Japan, you know. They did the same thing in Japan, and they just say, our God is just more powerful than yours. So you know, they just incorporate everything. You know, they incorporate everything into each religion. You know, because so it won't actually prompt the question that what about your God? What about your God? What if he's fake? You know, if our God is fake and we worshiping the wrong God, what about yours? I think that's how
yeah.
they did it. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Would you say that people are not really concerned about their soul, or they are just concerned about the here and now, or it is just the fear of juju that actually makes it more potent in their mind, Paulo?
Come again. I didn't get the question. Sorry.
Do you think it is just that people are not so concerned about their soul, or they are just concerned about the here and now that makes juju more potent in their mind, or what, you know? Because if
No,
you act,
absolutely not.
okay, go on.
Yeah, absolutely not. I think people are very concerned about their soul. They are very concerned about where they believe they will spend eternity.
Mm.
It is just that eternity and death is so far away. The
Oh,
average Nigerian or the average African man does not plan for dying tomorrow.
yeah,
If you
sure.
took a census of how many Nigerian men have wills, like have wills, like
Yeah,
have
yeah,
lawyers and have wills,
yeah,
and how many have planned for their deaths tomorrow? It's very, very, very few. I'm sure. I don't have any statistics,
yeah,
but I'm very,
sure.
very sure
I
it's few,
understand. Yeah.
right? So they are concerned for their soul, but they don't just think that they are going to die tomorrow. So it's a fear they can postpone.
Oh,
You
oh.
have many Christians yeah, it's a fear they can postpone. You have many Christians with the belief that don't worry, when I'm nearing my death, I will take these things more seriously.
Mm.
But for
Yeah,
now, I
that is
can
true.
I can be more lax about them.
Mm.
Wherein Juju is not a future fear.
Mm.
It is a live, at least to them, it is a live
This is
threat
now,
in the here
yeah,
and now.
life trait, yeah.
Juju tells you do wrong and you will see thunder immediately.
And you die
Do
tomorrow.
wrong
You
and
don't
you
wake
will
up
lose
tomorrow.
your wealth and you die tomorrow.
Yeah.
It is not future tense, it is present tense.
Present
And
tense.
people have not that not that they have seen these things
Yeah,
per
sure.
se, but they are
The
groomed
fear.
and they are trained and they are raised on a bouquet of fear, on depression, on superstition, continuously reinforced by our society.
Yeah.
For example, now, Agnostic made a very good point yesterday. He said Christianity is very similar to the story of Santa Claus, Father Christmas, right? The only difference is that once the children grow up, the parents stop reinforcing the story of there is a man that comes down your chimney.
Hmm.
But that's not the same with Juju. The
Yeah.
story is the fear, the threats, they are consistently reinforced every day. Now, media, our music, our parents, our environment, our see, if something happens to a random person on the road, for example, or some evil befalls a random person,
Hmm.
if 10 people gather and just give their opinions on that random incident, 7 would most likely link it to juju
Yeah, sure.
or some evil that was sent from somewhere, and the person was not lucky enough or powerful enough or had enough Jesus in them to avoid it. So it is not that they do not fear for their souls, they do, but the fear is not a present fear. It is
Mm.
a fear that they can afford to postpone.
Mm.
Many young Christians, for example, they don't think too much about the future or hellfire or stuff like that because they believe they can live their lives now. And when they are getting to the ending stages of their life, they become more serious with Christianity. That is why you find the younger Christians less serious about the church, and the older Christians much, much more serious about the church because they have postponed their fear to their later years.
Yeah.
But juju is a fear of the here and the now. Juju tells you if you do anyhow, you will see anyhow. So it is in their mind 24/7.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. Agnostic, can you comment on that?
Yeah, it's an interesting notion. I find it interesting how both juju and religion is sort of live in the same part of your worldview. It's the things that you can't control that you sort of
Right?
ascribe to. You ascribe to
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
magic. Let's call it
Yeah.
magic, basically. Oh,
Mm.
you know what I mean? It's things that are things that you're hoping for, or things that happen that you can't explain, or you see what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all of a sudden, and you're like, okay, it must be either I prayed and God gave me this, or somebody cursed me and then with some juju, and then that's why this bad luck happened. When yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. I think that is why one of the reasons why I'm the podcast generally. I am the podcast, and I think our focus should be on this supernatural stuff because Christianity actually, what is holding Christianity in balance is this juju and the belief in these superstitions and or it is this what is actually holding in balance. If you can actually make that crumble, I'll actually take that belief away, all of that belief away. I think we can actually have a shot. I think we have a good shot at actually removing
my
Christianity.
my my approach is more about, it's not so much taking the belief away, right? Because you come like that, right? And people feel like you're challenging them and they'll fight back.
Yeah.
It's more about get people, you have a conversation with people and try and get them to understand that actually, when they think about it, they can't justify the beliefs.
Yeah,
You see what I
sure.
mean? So you see what I mean? So
Right.
you try, how exactly do you
Right.
justify belief in magic? Okay, the juju that you're talking about, have you actually ever seen it yourself? Or is it always second hand or third hand from somebody else? Do you see what I mean? Is there some
Or is it possible that that thing that you said that happened to you has happened to other people that do not believe in
there is
juju
some
or
reasonable explanation that just, while unlikely, actually did explain it and it wasn't magic? You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's actually
Yeah.
true, you know. No, but I just think what is what I think. I think it's actually faster and quicker, you know, if you can actually investigate these claims, you know, because you know, some events are actually real that you might not be able to explain. You know, there are events that actually happen all over the world every single day. There are
Yeah,
signs,
but
you know,
then not being
that
able to explain it is
yeah, they
one
just
thing.
attribute
But
it
then
to
people just,
nah.
well, that's the one. Once you get to where you can't explain it, then you explain it with something that you call, you know, you explain it with magic. It's not an
Yeah,
explanation.
yeah,
It's
it's not an
Yes.
explanation.
you
It's
know what I
just a
mean?
cop out, you know. Yeah, it's just a cop out, and
So what they do, they simply move from one misunderstanding to another assumption. They don't
mm,
even provide answers. They just go from
No,
something they don't know to something they think they know.
yeah.
So any answers until things are actually studied and yeah.
Yeah,
one of the ways to test that kind of belief, right? Where somebody says, "Oh, it happened because of juju." If you can take out whatever the explanation is, right, just take some random thing and put it there, and it still works as an explanation, right? So instead of saying it was juju, say it was the rabbit's foot, or say it was, you know, what I mean, it was
yeah,
the third
Yeah.
star from the right on the Saturday morning, right? You know what I mean? If you can put that in,
Yeah.
right, and it still sort of flows and works. So hold on. So why
And
is
it
it
still
this?
stands and it
What?
still
So
works.
why is it this? You know what I mean?
So how can
yeah,
you say categorically that it is this? Yeah.
Exactly. You know
yeah.
what I mean? So you have to think
That's
about these
true, you
things.
know.
That's
Yeah,
brilliant.
yeah.
Agnostic, that's very
That is
brilliant.
the
Wow.
first time
That's really brilliant.
that is the
Wow.
first time I'm actually hearing that. No, when I actually explain this, I always explain this the way
Yeah, me
it's,
too. That's actually very brilliant.
you know. I think it's very good. You know, I think I will use that more often.
Seriously,
You know?
seriously, if you think about it, right? Somebody says, "Oh, it was Jesus that helped me find my keys," and I say, "Okay, no, it was the spaghetti monster." And they say, "Oh, how do you know it was? How do you know it wasn't?" That's
Yeah.
what they'll ask you, right?
And
Yeah.
and
So
it still works.
yeah, how do we know? So how do we know it's God? You know, like Jesus. So of course, you know, that's actually very brilliant. And I will use that more often. You know, because when I actually use SE, you know, SE state epistemology, I'm actually learning it. When I actually use SE to actually explain this way, I think I think the belief still holds, you know, and it always holds. You know, it is not very easy to actually convince someone otherwise of a belief that is already part of their identity. You know, I think these beliefs are ingrained in people's identity. The belief is already a part of them, like a part of their life, a part of who they are, you know, like as a Christian. Now, that's one of the reasons why you could actually tell someone that 2 plus 2 isn't 4 tomorrow and give them proof for that, and they will actually be convinced faster than you can actually convince them there isn't a God. Because you know, because it is ingrained in their
Yeah.
of course now it is ingrained in their identity. They have nothing now.
Yeah. I feel you. I
You know,
understand.
they have nothing to lose by believing that 2 plus 2 is 5. You know, they have nothing to actually gain. But once it is ingrained in their identity,
Yeah.
it is very hard to let go. You know, it's very hard to let go.
Yeah, absolutely. Because then what if you start to question things that are like you said fundamental to your identity, it then means you start to ask fundamental questions about yourself that are very uncomfortable.
Yeah, that are very uncomfortable. And people don't
And
like to
people,
think, you know.
your mind will genuinely sort of try very hard not to do that, which is
Yeah.
why when you have conversations with religious people and you just watch when you feel like you've made a good point, right?
Yeah.
Watch how they pause for a minute and then they just immediately come up with an
Immediately,
excuse.
exactly. You got it.
You know what I mean?
That's what they do. Yeah. Immediately, you know.
The brain does sort of short circuits for a second. Like, how do I get out of this one? And then, oh no, because in this verse here it says this, and that explains it. So I don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's what actually happens.
It's,
You know.
it's called revelation of the spirit.
It's called a defense mechanism.
In it, yeah. That's what they actually do. You know, immediately the brain actually finds the best way to actually feel comfortable. You know, psychologically to get comfortable. You know, get comfortable in what you already believe in. You know, because that I think it's just a trick Just a
It's
trick
called
reminders, you know.
It's called
Cognitive
it's called cognitive dissonance.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it's called. Yeah,
Two
yeah.
opposing thoughts at the same time,
At the same
and
time, you know,
that's all discomfort. It does whatever it needs to do to get itself
to
out
get
from
itself out.
feeling that way,
Yeah.
because it's
Nah.
not a comfortable feeling.
Wow. I'm enjoying this conversation. I wish it can actually go much longer. Anyway, Sha, I know we should actually have this more often, you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, who wants to come in, you know, like any residue or any input or anything like that, you know, because for the listeners, please, you know, I want to actually focus on this, you know. We need to actually go beyond Twitter, you know, because I've seen the consequence of these beliefs. I live near a church, a very big church, a very big church, other than some states in Nigeria. In fact, some states in Nigeria, and
Wow.
yeah, and it's a celestial church, and it's a very big church. And in this church, when anyone with a psychological problem or any mental problem, you know, they beat the hell out of the person, and
Oh,
it's
you
still
are joking.
it still happens up to now, you know. I still pass by the church. I can't just
Oh,
go.
yeah.
I have seen the first-hand destruction that these beliefs actually make, and the people actually perpetuating all this destruction are not on Twitter. That is one of the reasons why I want to actually go beyond.
Right.
I want us to all go beyond Twitter, you know, go beyond social media, because a lot of them are not on social media destroying lives. You know, I was having a conversation with a 7-year-old boy, and he was telling me that he knows the will of God, and so the will of God can be changed. And he was talking about, like, you know, he was actually 7 years old, and he was talking about religion, like he knows anything about it, you know, because he has been brainwashed into this belief, and his
It's
parents.
indoctrination. It's indoctrination.
Yeah,
This is there's a reason why. There's a reason why religious people, right, indoctrinate children young, right?
Mm.
Like when we were talking about Santa Claus earlier, before you have the capacity to be able to question whether or not
Yeah.
Yeah.
it is actually possible for a man to climb down the chimney and bring presents to
Mm.
every child in the world, right? This is, we even think of whether we have chimneys in Africa, but let's leave that one aside. Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean,
It
right?
actually worked on me for a while, but I
No,
practiced the same thing on
but
me.
seriously,
It was from
before you
Rome.
have
They
the
told me
capacity
Santa
to
Claus was
question
from
that,
Rome.
right?
Yeah.
The people that keep you
From
alive are telling
Rome?
you that
You didn't say
Yeah.
Rome?
Yeah, my mom
Well,
actually told me that, so, and I actually believed it for a while. So, like, I believed
how
it for a while
does
when I was
Rome
young.
this is
factor
my
into all this?
you guys Catholic or something. I don't know.
No, she wasn't Catholic.
The point is, at that age, right, you will literally believe anything,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you tell the children that there is this, you know what I mean. You first of all tell them that it's a carrot and stick, isn't it? Oh, there's this heaven that you could get to, but then at the same time, there's hell if you don't do what you're told. It's very often incorporated into disciplining the child as well. You know what I mean? So it becomes well ingrained by the time you're an adult.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's very,
Yeah.
very different. It's like you said, it becomes part of your identity. It becomes part of who you are. To question it will actually mean for a lot of people rebuilding your identity from scratch, and it's not
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Which is why whenever I'm speaking on Twitter, and one of the questions I get the most from Christians is, how do I live my life without God? Now,
Yeah.
these are people who they listen to the argument and they see that it makes sense. But
Mm.
here they have a fundamental identity problem.
Yeah.
They have been taught
That they are
that without
nothing
God
without
they
it,
are
you know.
nothing.
And that is it. They feel this
That's
emptiness
that's
when the
that they cannot live, they cannot function. I have debated with someone who I was able to convince,
Mm.
but then if the thing he said that stayed with me was that there is nothing that he can do, that without God he
Mm.
cannot live. He
And
cannot.
now that is
So it has gone beyond being just an ideology and has become a
part of the identity, you know,
fundamental
like
identity
no,
system,
yeah. It
which is why I find many Christians very, very defensive. As
yeah.
soon as you begin to raise pertinent questions about their beliefs, they leave the fact that we are simply just scrutinizing and become super defensive. And
No.
I didn't understand it before until someone explained to me that I wasn't just criticizing Christianity, I was literally criticizing them,
Yeah, the
since
identity, you
Christianity
know,
has
like, you
become
know,
a fundamental. I think it was it you that explained it to me one time,
I'm
that
not sure,
Christianity
you
has
know.
become a fundamental part of their
Now, yeah,
identity.
yeah, yeah.
So
Identity, the
criticizing
identity.
Christianity is equivalent to criticizing them.
They are. I was actually having a chat with a brother of mine. He's actually older, like he's about 28 or so, yesterday, and I was talking about what God actually told when Enoch actually prayed to God, asking God to actually make a baby rot in the womb of the woman, and God actually answered the prayer. And I was talking to him, and we had this long, and we were silent after all of those the talk. And this morning he went back to actually posting some things on WhatsApp about God and stuff like that, like some Thanksgiving and all. I saw when I actually read the post on the status. I saw him fighting back. It is just him like fighting back this mental scrutiny I'm actually giving to him. This mental. I was
Yeah.
actually rattling him out, and this was him fighting back. Like I want to hold on to this belief. And I think he actually missed church for about 2 Sundays. And I mentioned something to him that when I look back at my life, at the moment I actually wasted in church believing I had one supernatural problem. And he didn't actually go to church for about 2 Sundays. After that chat. And this is him actually fighting back. That what is there after without God? What is there? What is there
Yeah.
without? And we have to actually they didn't enter that position of reason through logic.
Yeah.
It wasn't logic that actually took them into that position of reason. It was a feeling, a deep feeling of comfort
Yeah.
that when I actually go out,
Emotional
yeah,
manipulation
yeah, yeah,
or
yeah,
emotional comfort.
yeah. That when they actually go out, the what can actually protect them from being stabbed is God. That is or from actually having an
Yeah.
accident or that place of solace, that rock foundation or cornerstone for their life.
Yeah.
I think that's what it actually offers. But if we can actually have change these things, have some a place where we can actually get together more than just once a year or twice a year or 3 times a year or 4 times a year, like just like the feeling that you actually get through watching football with a lot of guys. That is what they actually need. Replace that, take away church from that, and give them that every single Sunday, and they will let God go. They will let their Christianity go. And
Yeah.
once they find that rock somewhere else, that feeling somewhere else, because all of the inspiration Christians actually have, it doesn't actually live. We also have it, this kind of a feeling of epiphany,
Yeah.
the feeling of bliss, because when I actually read Richard Dawkins, or when I actually read a book on like Christopher Hitchens speak about the cosmos, or Carl Sagan, the Demon on Third World. When I actually read this book,
Yeah.
I felt this inspiration in me, like this feeling that I actually get in churches. I get it when I'm actually when I was in church. I get this feeling of inspiration, of this deep connection. So if we can actually replace that those feelings do not go away when you're actually Christian. It just shift to something else. It could be when you actually look at the skies, you just could be just looking through a plant, or just looking at the face of a bear or something like that. You see this magnificent glow. I think if we can actually replace all that, with something else, I think they will actually let God go. Let God go. What do you guys think?
Well, in my view, I think there is a certain magnificence to when you actually understand the vastness of how
Yeah,
much
yeah,
universe there actually is, how many there's hundreds of billions of galaxies, each of which has hundreds of billions of stars. I mean, we're finding planets outside our solar system. We
yeah,
found thousands already, right? And we've
yeah,
only just started the search, right? Eventually, we found a couple that could be, I mean, the couple that are calling sort of super Earth or something. Who
yeah,
knows if they're in the right region and if they have the right chemical composition, right? Who knows? Maybe there's another life form out there that we're just too far away to communicate with.
yeah.
But
I
the
I
point
I
is, there
always
is
I
a,
always ask
there is
people that if there's another Earth, do they worship God? So they have their own gods.
this is a question. I mean, do they have their own, or do they
They
one
have
God
their own
created
Bible or the
Yeah.
Quran,
No, but
They have
the,
their own
the point
Bible.
being, understanding the vast,
yeah,
I mean, the expanse of space
expanse
that
of
we
space. Yeah,
have, right? There is a certain majesty to that just awe-inspiring as well, right? But I think there is a danger. There is a danger in um, trying to present what we're doing as trying to replace Christianity, because there's certain aspects. I mean, I used this example last time we spoke, and I will use it again because I think it kind of conveys what I'm trying to say. If somebody is grown up on the apprehension that there is $1 million in the bank, I was waiting for them when they turn 18, right? If they've grown up with that notion, right? There's a certain feeling, and there's certain, you know what I mean, there are going to be benefits. There's going to be certain positive ways that you think about things, right? Because of that notion, right? Finding out that you don't have £1 million in the bank is going to be difficult in some ways, right? But trying to replace that feeling, trying to find something to replace that feeling instead of getting people to understand the harsh reality, as it were.
Yeah.
Right? There is a danger in just sort of in trying to exchange one
unleashing.
It's almost like exchanging one illusion for another one. As it were.
Let me come in on that. Let me come in on that. I love your point. And I think you actually misquoted me. But this is where I think basing on spirituality or whatever they call spirituality, because basic definition of spirituality is a deep connection to something that you actually feel is greater than you, and it is better you actually base it on the truth, because when you look at the aspects of the sky, my point is that base your spirituality on what is actually true. When you look at the expanse of the sky, when you look at the cosmos, those things are actually real, and you actually feel a deep connection, to everything, to Mayflowers, to the rainbows, and these, everything is just a cousin of a cousin, and everything of a cousin.
We are all connected. I mean, every single atom of your body was forged in the core of a star somewhere, right, that exploded, and I mean, we're also it's all just a cycle of anyway.
So if you actually base your spirituality on that, or you're feeling that feeling of intense connection that you actually get in churches on what is actually real, on what is actually true, is actually better than actually basing it on Jesus Christ that has been dead for a very long time, or is coming back or something like that. That is my point. You base it on something like the love of knowledge itself, the love of knowledge, the love of science, and the beauty of music and art and stuff like that. Just replace that feeling. Let people understand, because I think, like you said the other time, agnostic. It is, life becomes more brighter when you actually accept the fact, the reality. When you leave behind all the junks of religion and superstitions, life becomes more beautiful, more brighter. Everything becomes more overwhelming and more beautiful. So that is my point. Like, let's replace it with the truth, not the lie.
I guess my worry is that not everybody is necessarily going to find a like for like replacement for what they get from religion, right? And if you promise that, I don't know, maybe I'm.
Your microphone is muted again, guy.
If you promise people, a like for like replacement for the emotional sort of comfort blanket they get from religion, and they don't find that outside religion,
that is true.
I think that, I think there is danger in sort of
that's actually true. Because of course, I think
you're almost overselling what
you're offering. And you made a good point, because there is no solace for justice in being rational and in reality, because justice does not exist, and that is why we actually look for justice. Once someone dies, that's all. That is all. There will be no punishment and stuff like that. And people, we can't actually replace that. There is nothing to actually replace that with.
There are going to be times when bad people.
If you promise them that, it's dangerous.
And bad things happen to good people. It's unfortunate that happens, but that's reality.
That's reality.
No ultimate justice, and sometimes it's sometimes it's going to be good luck. But there's nothing anybody can do about it. That's just the way things are.
That is actually true. I think we actually have to refresh. We actually sort through that. Because I think this feeling, the things that religion actually offers because when they were converting pagans, just want to go back to when they were converting pagans, when the early Christians were converting pagans, what they actually went for was their need for afterlife, because their need for afterlife, and they were started telling to people that they won't really die and stuff like that, because that feeling of comfort is actually the basic need of human. Of every human, the feeling of comfort that everything is gonna be okay. I think that is actually what we actually need to pass through, and the society is actually required also. The society societal connection and that organization and the group. That's we are not wired to be alone, And I think that we actually have to, maybe a school of Socrates or that of Confucius, maybe an institution or that connection. And because the world is actually lonely, the world is just getting lonely and more boring. Like it's more boring. I think we have to actually create some excitement for people. What do you guys think about that?
Well, I wouldn't say it's getting more boring, but building up on what you and Agnostic have said, I do agree with you.
Okay.
I believe that a lot of people are actively finding alternatives to the emotional comfort blankets religion has given them.
Hmm.
And I also agree with Agnostic in the sense that many people might not be able to find a like for like replacement to
Yeah.
what religion offers. Like
Hmm.
some find it in sports, others in arts,
Hmm.
others in literature. But to be honest, there will be many people who will leave religion and leave the solace of being told that there is someone that loves them and is doing everything he can in his power to keep them safe and help them pass their exams and help them find their car keys and just be their best friend. There will be people who would not be able to find something to replace that with. Now, my question, I don't actually want to put a point. I have more of a question. I'm wondering why is it so difficult for us as people to simply accept the bitter truth that, how do I phrase this? That there is no perfect justice in the world. There's no absolute good in the world. There's no absolute. I don't know whether you understand.
Yeah, I understand
It is
you.
much
It,
easier.
I can answer
Easier
in
for
two
people,
words: wishful thinking.
wishful, right?
yeah, I can actually
Like
answer that.
Simply
No.
wishful think. It's simply wishful thinking. People don't want to believe. They don't want to believe that the world is ultimately disordered. They don't want to believe that there is no ultimate justice because
yeah,
it's comforting to think that there is,
Hmm.
right?
yeah,
So
Hmm.
you just tell yourself that there is, or if you come from a belief structure that tells you that there is, you don't question it. And when somebody else questions it, because that is something that you I mean, you know what I mean? When people use that in the argument, they almost ask you, like, do you want to live in a world where there is no justice? Like, it doesn't
Yeah,
matter what
yeah,
I
yeah,
want.
that's what
It
they do.
doesn't matter what I want. Whether it's true or not it's literally irrelevant whether I want it or not. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I've come across so many people who even though they no longer have religion, some do, some don't, but
Hmm.
they cannot bring themselves to believe that there is no ultimate justice, there is no absolute good,
Hmm.
there is no force of good and evil
Hmm.
like literature and movies and basically pop culture and our history have have groomed us with. We were born with, not born, but we were infused with this sense of ultimate justice. Growing
Hmm.
up with cartoon characters and superheroes, Superman, Batman, the forces of good, or in religion, Jesus Christ and God, the forces of good. We were groomed with this sense of having things higher than us, things ultimately good, ultimate justice. And but I've come to find that many people cannot bring themselves to find replacements for religion, or and some others cannot bring themselves to believe that there is no ultimate good. So I perfectly understand what Agnostic explained. My question now is, how do we help these kind of people? How do we help these kind of people who they cannot bring themselves to believe that there is no ultimate good, because it is the belief that there is an ultimate justice giver, an ultimate force of evil that makes people want to search for their own brand of ultimate justice. Some see it in Allah, some see it in Yahweh, some in Buddha, some in every other God there is. But how do we help the people who who firmly believe that there has to be some ultimate sense source of good in the world,
Right.
Uh,
Now,
uh,
my view is you're not going to help everybody, right?
yeah.
right?
And even the people you help, right? It might not be. today, it might not be this week, it might not be this year, that it finally saw the penny drops for somebody, right? But you might be just part of their journey. So you plant a seed that causes them to go and ask somebody else a question, that then prompts them to have a conversation with somebody else. And maybe 6 months down the line, that's when the penny finally drops. So don't worry about if you can help them all the way today. If you see what I mean, just do your own part to. The thing about the way I see it, right? It's not so much about telling people, well, this is real or this is not real. The way I've always seen things, it's about how you approach, it's about how you think about things. So what you believe, how are you justifying what you believe? You say that Jesus resurrected. Why? How do you know that? Right? They'll say, well, because it says in a book. Well, how do you know the book is accurate? Right? Because what you're saying that the book is saying, right, that somebody came back from the dead. That is, I mean, as far as we know the way the word works, that doesn't happen. Right? So why is it that you want us to believe that the book said something that happened 2,000 years ago that we know doesn't, we generally doesn't happen, right? When people die, they're dead, right? So you want us to believe, you know what I mean?
Right.
You want us to believe it happened. But how do you actually believe? And you know, so you then try and take people through that process, right? And eventually, what you tend to get to is you just go have faith. And the way I see it, right? Faith is that's the point where you run out of excuses. Basically. You know what I mean? Once you run out of excuses and there's no other reason, or you just go have faith.
Let's have faith,
Well, I mean, faith is faith is the same reason why people believe in Vishnu, in Allah, in Buddha, so if faith can lead me to all these different beliefs, right, then it's clearly not a reliable way to figure out which one of them is correct, if any. Exactly. You see what I mean? So tell me again, how have you see what I mean? So it's about teaching people how to think and planting a seed and then just letting them do what they need to do to figure out their own way to find their own path.
Is it possible to have a completely rational world, you know, like in a world in which billions of people, 9 billions of people are, you know, are really rational, or we always gonna have some crazy among us.
Human beings are going to be able to apply varying degrees of rationality from on all points of the scale, basically from the very rational to the irrational. This is, you are never going to get the word completely rational or completely irrational. It's going to be somewhere in between.
If everybody could be rational, we won't have judges.
Wow.
We won't have police.
We won't need one.
Yeah, so we won't need them. I don't think there would ever be a time where everybody is completely rational. I don't think, like, as long as we have a heart.
Would there ever be a time? Would there ever be a time that religion will be gone for good? You know, like Dan Dennett actually said no, that religion will always be here. What do you guys think?
I don't know. I think superstition of some description will always be with us, right? Because there were going to be people that's it's easier just to say it was magic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or UFOs.
Talking about rationality, we are imperfectly evolved apes with adrenaline glands that are slightly too big, and you know what I mean? So we are
decided to I get you.
A chromosome away from a chimpanzee. We are not exactly designed to sit and have rational thought. We're designed to survive on the savannah, and so living in civilization is not what we are designed for. But we've figured it out because of our large brains. But to say that we are imperfectly evolved, we are never all going to be rational. It's not going to happen.
That's good. All right.
I actually disagree with Daniel Dennett. I mean, that's huge, right? Disagree with Daniel Dennett. Now the thing is,
disagree anybody you like, as long as you can make the case.
Right. Now the thing is, I don't know if our universe is eternal, right? But if it is, if we are going to be here for an infinitely long period of time, I don't mean us like you and I of this day and age. I mean like the human race. I do believe that there will be a time where people will be educated and enlightened enough. Remember, education is just literacy, reading and writing. So you can be educated and still be stupid. I mean, look at Ekiti State. They have the largest number of professors in Nigeria, but they also have one of the largest number of churches in Nigeria. So So if it's possible that the universe is eternal and we will always, because people are getting smarter every day. I mean, like, I am
I, I,
smarter than
I
my
would
grandfather,
I would
and my
disagree.
grandfather was smarter than.
I would disagree with you on that.
No,
Like
okay,
people just go to Twitter. Twitter is a marketplace for gossip.
I
The
would.
thing is, just very quickly, very quick interjection. I think we are no smarter than human beings have ever been. What we have is the accumulated knowledge of all the generations that came before. If somebody came and wiped out all the knowledge that we had, right? So we didn't know how to do all the stuff that we know how to do, and we had to start again, right? I think we realize just how dumb people actually are.
Yeah, we see degenerate to
Yeah.
the savages
Of
that we
course.
were, Yeah, I think so.
It's not that we are smarter; we just have a lot more accumulated knowledge than they do.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's not like it's not as if we are born smarter. I think our brain stopped expanding in size 200,000 years ago, right?
Exactly.
So it's not as if we are having larger capacities to be smarter or more intelligent, but like you said, the accumulated knowledge. And as knowledge accumulates and human species evolves and gets better, people coming after us will no longer believe in. For example, now my great grandfather believed in the rain god and the sun god, right? And my grandfather knew that the rain god was nonsense, but he believed in the stream god. And I don't believe in either the rain or sun or stream god. And I believe in other things. And I understand to an extent the Big Bang. Probably my grandsons, they will know that the Big Bang was absolute rubbish, and they will have knowledge of the Big Bounce, right? So, like you said, accumulated knowledge over time. So if we keep accumulating knowledge, we keep congregating, we keep growing, we keep.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, you there, Paulo?
Look at religions.
Okay.
Religion has declined in popularity. I want to explain something. Like, for example, people think that religions are growing. Religions are not growing. They are simply indoctrinating their children faster. I don't know if that makes sense. For example, the average Muslim man is allowed to, according to religion, is allowed to have 4 wives, right? Now, having 4 wives and having 3 children with each wife, that's 12 children. And you're indoctrinating 12 children at once into a particular religion. Yes, that religion is growing, but it's not growing by merit of by the quality of its truth.
Yeah.
It's only growing by the quantity of children you're giving birth to, right?
What you're saying is
But
that they're
even
growing
then,
because they're having children, not because they're convincing people.
Yeah.
not because
Right
they're
now,
convincing people, they're growing because they're having children.
Yeah. But look at Asia now. Look at Asia. Guys, look at Asia. Look at Asia. They are really converting Indians and Chinese and Koreans in Asia right now, Of course, the Chinese are fighting back. Koreans are not really fighting back, I'm sure if you've been watching Korean movies, you already seen Christian themes in their movies. People actually believing in Jesus Christ and stuff. And this is actually a new thing. It's about 10 years or 5 years ago. Just started 5 years ago, They are converting people in Korea. They're converting people, They are really converting people. It isn't about.
This has been going on since basically since the Romans. People are going around evangelizing.
Yeah.
Christians in particular feel they have a duty to go out and evangelize, right? Something like
mandate to go and disturb everybody.
Well, yeah, I mean the Mormons, the Seventh-day Adventists, what's it called? They what's it called? What's the Latter-day Saints or whatever they're called, right?
Church of Latter-day Saints.
Well, they actually
that's
have
what
a
you call them.
structure. They have a structure where you have to go and spend a year in a different country and evangelize over there, right? So you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's not surprising that they're going around trying to convert people.
I wish we could actually do that with science,
I actually believe
an institution of science could actually say, wow, let's just go there into this country and actually teach physics, I think that's what I wish we could actually do that.
The thing is, I mean, we're not actually, you basically hand the Christians and atheists alike, you hand them an iPhone and they didn't come out of a church, did it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It was scientists that created the phone. It was scientists that created the telephone network.
There are still
the internet that we're speaking over now.
Yeah.
That was science that created that. It wasn't prayer. It was science.
There are still people in Nigeria, like vast amount of people. I can't actually put a number on it, but but I can actually tell you more than half of the people in Nigeria actually believes that Juju is what is working in computers and planes and phones. I'm talking about
Don't say.
BSc and BSc holder and BSc holder and PhD holder. These are active beliefs. People that are actually graduates, university graduates who
That just rank ignorance. I mean, I'm sorry. That just this is literally because they don't understand how it works.
Yeah.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. I don't understand how something works, so I'm going to attribute it to magic.
All right.
You know what I mean? Because it's not a simple explanation, but there's an explanation for how mobile phones work. There's an explanation for how the electronics all work together.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Let's round up. Let's round this up. I think we should actually what should we talk about next time we actually come together? What do you guys think? Should we talk about Pan-Africanism and something we actually mentioned about the malice, the belief, or the Americans are actually maliciously and intently actually wiping out our culture? Or sidelining our history. Should we talk about next time we actually come together?
That's quite spicy. I don't know if if you're going to claim that America is wiping our culture, then we need to sort of present proof, don't we?
Yeah. I think I wish I could actually invite Infa Funshaw on the podcast. I wish I could actually invite her on the podcast and a lot of those Twitter Pan-Africanists to actually have these discussions, but I don't think they are very good at having discussions. I don't think they want to actually discuss their views also.
I don't know if you can tell from just their tweets, but you can't see. I have quite a few on my list, and I think they might be open to discussing these things.
All right. I wish I could actually invite Ifa from show. I don't know because I've requested for her to come on podcast before, and she said she isn't ready yet, and some at later date. And I know from experience, like I've met a few of them, like in person. I've met a few of them in person. I'm not sure they are very good at discussing their views. They are very defensive.
What might help is if you decide what questions you wanted to ask, right, and send the questions beforehand. So then what I mean. If she knows what you want to ask, then she can she can come prepared and know what she's going to say. That I don't know if it'll help or not, but it's a suggestion.
Yeah, all right. Thank you. Thanks for coming on the show, guys. Thanks for coming. And listeners, please, I wish we could actually convert this to a video podcast soon enough, like a video conversion soon enough, and it really like you can donate like as little as you want to the support page or just join Patreon. Just join Patreon. The mission that is before us as a society and everyone, it's actually a very huge mission, because Islam is winning in Nigeria. I think that's just the truth. Islam is winning in Nigeria. Every single day, they're actually spreading their propaganda out there and suppressing people's right and their extremists are slaughtering people. And the series I'm trying to create is about actually going to schools and churches and meeting some pastors to actually speak about their beliefs and actually talk about what they actually believe and what they're actually preaching. So if you guys, just follow me on Twitter. The power of the questions we're asking actually depends on the number of people actually asking the same question. So please follow me on Twitter. Follow the three of us on Twitter. I'll be linking all the description, the link to our profiles in the description, and just follow us on Twitter and support on Patreon. Support on Patreon. Support the podcast on Patreon. Look like replenish and reproduce the happiness and the joy you just got from this conversation. And subscribe also. Subscribe. That is for further reach, you have to subscribe. So once you watch something, someone it could actually, the algorithm on YouTube can actually recommend this for someone else on YouTube. So subscribe. All right. Have a great day, guys. Paulo, thanks for coming on the show.
It was a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, Agnostic, thank you so much. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for the conversation, guys. Look forward to doing this again.
All right. Enjoy your day, guys.